Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And today's episode is going to be a special one for those that are looking to use TourRadar for the first time, or if you've already used TourRadar and you're looking to book a second or third tour. I want to discuss with you the number one mistake people are making while using TourRadar. And I'll just simply cut right to the chase. The number one mistake people are making is not reading the actual tour description page. Now, let's see what that also involves. So there are 5 key mistakes that fall underneath that one major blunder. And the first mistake that you want to avoid is not looking into the actual tour operator. The second mistake you want to avoid is ignoring the reviews or the lack thereof. The third mistake you want to avoid is assuming that all the extra activities or optionals are going to be included in that tour. The fourth mistake you want to avoid is having unrealistic expectations. And the fifth and last mistake that you want to avoid is expecting that TourRadar will be responsible for any and all problems on that tour. Okay, so I'm going to speak from personal experience here. So several years ago, I wanted to celebrate 2020 with a bang, and I chose to go to Brazil. So I did my usual. I went to TourRadar, I put in Brazil, and I looked at the tours that were being offered, and I made a couple of key cardinal mistakes. I didn't bother looking into the tour operator, and worse, I didn't even bother looking into or reading the reviews. So I went with an operator thinking that since when they were a local Brazilian company, what could possibly go wrong? Well, unfortunately for me, I found out that 2 months prior to me leaving for the tour, it was actually canceled. So I wound up with a private solo tour. Yep, you can read all about it. I have it in my website, and don't worry about it. I'll leave a link down below in the description. But I got to give a big thank you to Fred. Fred Franco is the one that basically saved my trip. He became my tour guide for the most part, and I had him all to myself. So he basically saved my trip, along with a couple other things that I was able to do. But it was one of those experiences that I made a promise to myself I'll never repeat again. So I made 2 mistakes. Number one, I didn't even bother looking into the tour operator, and I didn't bother reading their reviews. And what I did was I looked at the pictures saying to myself, oh, well, this looks great. I get to stop by 4 locations. They look beautiful in pictures. I assumed in error that the tour operator that was located in Brazil would know exactly what they're doing. However, due to other tourists and other travelers giving them such bad reviews, that TourRadar was forced to drop. So always do yourself a favor whenever you're looking into a tour. You always want to look for a tour operator that is going to be platinum, gold, or silver rated. But more importantly, you're going to learn a lot about that tour, in particular with the reviews. So you always want to jump to the reviews. You always want to take a look at what do the customers have to say. Now, a lot of times you'll notice that it's just the traveler venting about something. It could have been something about the food, maybe the transport, maybe it was too slow, maybe perhaps they didn't have enough time to look at a particular site, or maybe too many days were spent in one city and then too short of a time in another. So these are all factors that may play into what you want to look for in a particular tour. So let's jump to the error number 3. Assuming that certain excursions or optionals will be included into that tour. So let's take a look at Morocco. I've been to Morocco, and when I booked my tour with Intrepid Travel, I did myself the favor. By then I already learned my lesson. I looked at the itinerary, and I knew what to expect. So the first things first, you always want to look at the itinerary, and you want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth. You want to know what is included in those activities. Then what you want to do is that you always want to look at a couple of things. What's included? So you want to look at perhaps the additional services. And these are everything that's extra that will be included in the tour. That's not extra, that does not come out of your pocket. This you already paid for. So additional services you want to take a look at. Now, you also want to look at this right here. The optional, what's not included. Optional experiences are available on this tour for an additional cost and will be provided to you with your finalized travel documents. So right here, there's a big old question mark. Here's how you solve that. You go to this feature right here, contact the operator, and just put in your name, your email, select the departure date that you want. And you want to ask the question, so as far as what's not included, the optionals, what are we talking about? I would absolutely ask that question first before I consider doing a tour like this. You want to know what's extra. Now, to give you an idea of what those could be, I found another tour in Morocco that does list those. So let's just take a quick look. And I want you to take a look at this. And here are the optionals. And I faced a similar list like this when I did my own tour through Intrepid Travel. And the majority was all in Marrakesh. That was the very end point of the tour. And many of these are absolutely worth it. But keep in mind is that these are not part of the tour or part of the itinerary. So yes, this will cost. And these are all done in the local currency. And the majority, they're not that expensive whatsoever. And you do have choices here. So you don't have to do all of them. You can do a handful, which is pretty much what I did. I did the major things in Marrakesh, which were these right here that I do remember off the bat. And everything else, I just kind of looked at it, said to myself, do I really want to do that? And I pretty much passed on it. And I did stay an extra day in Marrakesh, and that I just I just walked around Marrakesh. I walked around the Medina, and I just did some sightseeing. That's what I did on my own time, on my own clock. So these are some of the things that I want you to take to be aware of. Now, another thing is that something that can be easily missed, and I found this one. And I'll let you read the review here, but Transylvanian Tales Journey Through Medieval Towns and Castles and Countryside, self-drive. That means that when you show up, there is no public transport for you to use. There is no train for you to use. This is one where you got to go to the country and you're going to be renting a car. So you'll need an international driver's permit in order to do so. So this could be a big no-no for a lot of you folks that don't want to do any kind of extra, logistics when you're on vacation. Now, that would be me. I would not want to land in a place only find out that I would have to drive myself around. No thanks. And in fact, if you were to go to this exact tour, you can see how one of the travelers didn't miss this part entirely, showed up to the hotel only to learn that, okay, so where's your car? And you could read the whole review that he left himself, but I cannot imagine the pit in his stomach that he must have felt at that moment when he realized that he just royally messed up. So again, you don't want to assume things. You always want to read the entire itinerary, and I'll actually tell you from day one, not this one, but in another example, I'll tell you that you will get picked up if they do offer that free service. And it will tell you as far as the transportation, what's included. So I did that in an earlier video, and take a look at that, please, because I do go through quite a bit. Now, the last thing the next thing rather, is having unrealistic expectations. So I'll use myself as an example again in Morocco. When I went to Morocco, we were staying in four-star hotels. I did a rail tour. And I wanted to do the four-star hotel experience. So I'm like, okay. And I was looking forward to the breakfast. I was wondering what kind of Moroccan food would be available. And needless to say, the breakfast was, honestly, in my opinion, was very underwhelming. It was mainly what you'd find on a dessert platter. I kid you not, there was chocolate cake, cookies, nougat, bread with honey. I was desperately looking for at the very least something, like fried eggs or hard-boiled eggs or even turkey sausage or chicken sausage. None of that was available. You had a lot of just sweets, and that's something that I was really looking forward to eat first thing in the morning. So I pretty much stuck with the few options that they had, which was fruits. So I had to solve that with just kind of just narrowing down, just eating some fruits, but that was fine. It wasn't a major deal. It wasn't enough for me to complain, but I will say one thing, that when I had the chance to take an opportunity to eat a camel burger, I jumped on it. So the last thing that I also want you to be aware of, another key mistake to avoid is expecting TourRadar will be responsible for any issues going on with the tour. So this is something that could be, again, like in Morocco. I mean, it was not their fault that in Morocco I couldn't find a decent breakfast. It's not their fault. It wasn't tour operator's fault where we went to my last tour. It was in the Balkans, and the hotel that we stayed in, let's say Tirana, wasn't all that great. It was small. It was just very not that comfortable. It's nothing to do with tour radar. It has everything to do with the hotel itself. And let's not forget, you got to keep your expectations normal. You cannot expect to go to a country and think that everything will be to your liking. You cannot expect, especially if you live in the West, that the hotels will be to the standards of what you think a four-star hotel should be. It doesn't work that way. You're in a different country, so be very, very open and just keep an open mind. And I promise you, you'll enjoy your vacation that much more. And that's pretty much it, what I wanted to go over. So absolutely do yourself a favor and always read the tour description page. It just solves so much problems. It'll just give you everything that you need to know. If you found this video to be useful, please share it. And you know what to do next. I want you to go right down beneath the video, smash that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. What did you think? Have you ever been on a tour that went sideways? Mine did to Brazil, but I was able to recoup and I was able to get a pretty good tour at the end. So, guys, I want to thank you so much. You really have a lot of options on YouTube, but you chose my channel and you stuck with me to the end. I want to thank you so very, very much. And I'll be coming out with some new videos soon. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.